How is it going, everybody? I'm Steven from Break Free Homestead. Today we're going to build this custom workbench. Before, the shop was pretty unorganized and almost unusable, you know, at some points when everything's piling up on the edges. So we went ahead and we built an affordable workbench. This workbench is not going to be your wood craftsman workbench. It's going to be a basic DIY workbench that any of you at home could build. Real quick, if this video helped you out at all, would you drop down below, hit that like button, and subscribe. That way you can break free with us. We provide new content every week. So, this is a complete mess. Let's go ahead and start cleaning this up. We're gonna empty this thing out and prepare it so we can start our workbench. All right, so we just picked up 35 2x4s. You know how it is when you're at Home Depot or Lowe's and you're picking through these studs. It's about like 50% shot. So I looked through a lot of 2x4s, got the best ones I thought. There's some maybe I could have skipped, but they're acceptable. You can't get everything perfect. So I was sitting there looking at my sketch and trying to determine how many boards I was gonna need, and I actually Googled it, and there's like an optimization for board cutting. So I got my cuts here. I'll drop a link down below, super helpful, and this could save you a decent amount. And it's a way easier way to find out how many boards you need, especially if you're doing a lot of cuts. I think you can also use like dimensional boards, like 4x8s, like plywood to save space if you're cutting smaller pieces, but we're gonna do all the cuts at one time. All right, so this helped me get everything all cut. We have 48s, it's gonna be the lower bench over here. 62 is gonna be the left side bench with shelves. Then we got 40s, those are all of our verticals. The 24s are all supports. This is going to be the right side section over here, top and bottom shelf. And then we're gonna continue a little bit over, and then we're gonna drop down, and then we'll go to a 4-foot section over here. So that's cutting all of these 24-inch pieces. We had this jig I set up. It's pretty janky, but definitely saved a lot of time on that, on remeasuring. Just take a few extra minutes, set up a jig, save the time. All right, guys, so we are starting to assemble our workbench. We're gonna assemble from the back and just do the horizontal pieces, basically the bench and then the shelf, and then we'll put the legs on and then adjust it, set it up, and then get each section set up, and then we'll connect them all. All right, so we're just gonna repeat this step one more time, get this last bench built, and we'll start putting the vertical legs on it. All right, so we just got all of our frames done, and now what we're gonna do is go into our 40-inch legs, and we're gonna mark, using a speed square, we're gonna mark 4 inches up, because that's what we're gonna do below the bottom shelf. That way, when you're working up against the bench, you can naturally, your feet will kind of tuck under, almost like a regular kitchen cabinet, and you're not butting up, leaning over too much at an angle. This will allow you to stand straighter for a longer period of time. All right, so we're gonna try to assemble this thing with 3 shelves. It's gonna be kind of wonky, and we don't wanna move it too much. So we're gonna stand all 3 up. And this will let us put the legs on both sides at the same time. We have our legs here with the bottom shelf. We'll just match the 2x4 up to the bottom of that. Then we have our shelf line, and then the top is just gonna be completely flush. Pre-mark everything. That way it's easier once you just screw everything in. Okay. We're just gonna get everything in real fast, and then we'll make sure it's all square. All right, guys, we just got this thing all flipped over, nice and leveled out. Put 3 screws on each connection with the legs, so it should be nice and sturdy. All right, guys, so we just got everything all set up. Besides the miter, I really haven't added that yet, but it's time to go get the plywood. I think we're gonna use 1/2 inch, some pretty dense stuff. And we had a 1/2 inch piece over here we just put on top, and with our support spacing, the mist jumped up here and it wasn't even flexing. So I think that'll be more than adequate for this workbench. We're not, you know, forging on this thing, so it should be good. Pretty happy with it so far. It's gonna be looking pretty sweet. Give us a lot more storage and space to work on instead of working on the floor or some flimsy table. All right, so we just got back from Lowe's. We went with a 15 by 32 fir sheathing plywood. It's pretty sturdy, so almost a 1/2 inch. It should be plenty for what we're doing here. I had them cut it in the store, which is gonna save me a lot of time and hassle and nice clean cuts. So now I just have to figure these out real quick. We're gonna do the Tetris and we're gonna figure out which one's which, get them in the right place, and then we'll start securing these. So right now I feel pretty stupid because when we're going online trying to decide what height to put the bench at, you know, I said 40 was gonna be good just because I'm 6 foot tall, and then we roughed it out and then put a board on top of it, and it is pretty darn tall. This area over here is a good height, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this whole section 3.5 inches and then put it back together. We're not gonna take them all apart. We're just gonna take the tops off and then using the circular saw, real quick, just chop 3.5 inches off, get this thing back assembled so we can get these tops on. All right, so that took a couple minutes. It wasn't too difficult, but we got it lowered. I was considering just throwing it up there to see how it was, but once you load all your stuff onto your workbench, you're not gonna wanna pull it out and drop the height. So we figured, well, it's empty, not attached to the wall. It's the time to do it, make it right from the beginning. So let's move on. We're gonna start by doing our plywood boards on the bottom, then we'll push it in, secure it to the wall, and then we'll get the top. We have to notch out some spots on the top for these basement supports, but it shouldn't be too difficult. We might use a jigsaw and a Dremel if we need to clean it up a little bit.
Okay, come here. Now I move it. Just for 1 second.
So we just got this pushed up all the way against the wall. It's not completely square against the concrete wall and the wall we put here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna screw it into here on this stud over here that we've installed. And then just to tie down this side, we'll do one more over there. And then I'm thinking I might throw in a concrete screw or a concrete bolt to just tie it in there, make it nice and tight. Here's the section that we're gonna have to cut out with the jigsaw. I'm just gonna hit that real fast. It's only about 1 inch, so it should be a pretty easy job. What I'm doing here real quickly is just using a piece of cardboard that I have laying around, kind of just cut a rough shape. This will give us a good start to it, and we will curve out or cut out more if we need to. But let's get this jigged, and then we'll test the fit. So I think that looks pretty darn good. We're gonna go ahead and get this mounted real fast. All right, so right here our miter saw is gonna go. I built a little frame. It's gonna drop down the 3.5 inches required to have a level surface for the cutting. So let's go ahead and get that in real fast. Fits nice. I just picked up this new Ryobi brushless 1 Plus compact drill and driver set, and I am super happy with it. I had Ryobi previously. The one that I just replaced lasted me about 8 years, around 8 years, and it broke. I dropped it. It was still trying to run, but it was broken. I epoxied it. It lasted another year, so it was time to give up. We got this, and I'm very happy with it. Super efficient with the batteries, and I would definitely recommend it. Make sure you hit the bell, that way you get notified when we make a new video. We're gonna make a playlist over here of the workbench we're making. We plan on doing a lot of stuff in the back for storage, pegboard, electrical with new lighting, and other things. We're gonna see what we can do with this, try to make it as nice as possible, make some other hanging things on the back up here for her crafting thing and painting. This is just the start of it. Hopefully you join us.